All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be tackling something that, a lot of you have been writing in about.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this too.
Keeping politics out of the classroom. I mean, this is a big one,
Oh, huge.
and we're going to try to do it justice today.
Absolutely.
So based on all the stuff you guys have sent in, all the articles, all the opinions,
Oh, we got a lot of source material.
yeah, a lot of stuff to dig through. We're going to try to distill it down to the core arguments for why folks are saying, hey, let's keep politics out of the classroom, you know?
Right, like what are the real benefits? And is it even possible?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's something everyone's thinking about, right? Parents are thinking about it, students are thinking about it.
Teachers too, most definitely.
Oh yeah, especially teachers, right? They're on the front lines of this.
Absolutely. It's their world.
Yeah. So let's dive in. I think one of the first things we got to talk about is like just the idea of focusing on education and development, right?
Yeah, I mean that seems like a no-brainer, right? Like that's what school is for.
Right, exactly. But I think what people are getting at is like teachers should really be prioritizing teaching the curriculum.
Is it that shared foundation?
Exactly. Yeah. And avoiding, bringing in their own personal political views.
Right, keep the focus on the material.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things this relates to that we hear a lot is like, how does this affect the students?
Right.
How does this actually help the students learn and grow?
Right. Because at the end of the day, that's what we care about.
Right.
We want our kids to thrive.
Exactly. And I think one way to think about this is one of the sources used this analogy.
Oh, yeah, I like this one.
The classroom is like a garden.
I
Right?
love that.
The
Yeah.
teacher is like the gardener, right? They're cultivating knowledge, they're cultivating skills, and if they, they're trying to help these plants grow.
Right. And they got to keep the weeds out.
Exactly. You got to keep those weeds of political bias out so the plants can actually grow and flourish,
I think that's a great image. Like, you don't want your tomatoes tasting like, I don't know, politics. You want them to
You
be
want good tomatoes.
good tomatoes. Yeah.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us into this next idea of objective learning, right? And critical thinking.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like, how do you present information objectively when, everybody has their own opinions?
Right. And I think there's this idea that if teachers can present information objectively, it actually allows the students to form their own opinions, right?
Yes. Let them come to their own conclusions.
Exactly. And one of the examples they used in one of the sources was, like, imagine a history teacher.
Right. So important. History.
Oh, so important. And they're presenting all these different perspectives on a historical event,
All sides of the story.
all sides, without saying, well, this is the right one.
This is the way it was, right?
Exactly. And I think that's so powerful because then it really does allow the student to say, okay, well, wait a minute, what do I think about this?
Exactly. And that's what we want. We want them to think for themselves.
Exactly. And that's critical thinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's essential for life, right? Not even just school.
Oh, yeah. Why
Like,
not?
think about a time when you read an article or saw a news story and you were like, wait a minute, is that the whole story? You started questioning, you started digging deeper.
Oh, all the time, right?
Right. And that's what critical thinking is all about.
And I think that's what we want our students to be able to do.
Exactly. Be those detectives of information.
Yes. I love that. And, and when we're talking about all these different perspectives in the classroom, we also have to talk about the diversity,
Oh, yeah. That's essential.
right? Because classrooms today are so diverse,
Right. More than ever.
more than ever. Yeah. And so, how do we create an environment where all these students from different backgrounds, different beliefs can all feel welcome and included
And respected. Right.
and respected? Exactly.
Because if a teacher is pushing their own political views and you've got a student who maybe comes from a family that has totally different beliefs,
Oh, yeah, that kid's going to feel uncomfortable.
you're going to feel isolated.
Yeah, they're not going to want to speak up.
Exactly. And so, this idea of having a more neutral space, politically speaking, I think it really helps make sure that every student feels like their voice matters.
Yeah, it makes it a safe space for everyone.
Exactly. Safe and inclusive.
And that goes back to that idea of, like, we want this space for everyone to learn, right? We want everyone to be able to collaborate.
Yes, collaboration's key.
Exactly. And I think this leads into another really important aspect, which is the power dynamic between teachers and students, right? Especially when we're talking about younger students, teachers have a lot of authority.
Oh, absolutely. Huge influence, especially on little kids.
Right. So, some of the sources were talking about this idea that students might feel pressured to align with the teacher's views.
Yeah.
even if it's not, like, explicitly said.
Right. Even subconsciously, like if they want to please their teacher.
Exactly. And that could be really, yeah, that could be a tough situation for a kid to be in, right?
Absolutely. And so that's why so many people are really advocating for this neutrality in the classroom. They're saying, look, the teacher's job is to educate. It's not to persuade or to indoctrinate.
Right. It's to give them the tools to think for themselves.
Exactly. Let them explore.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about, right? Empowering these students to think for themselves, to question things, to explore different ideas, you know, without feeling that pressure.
To conform, yeah.
To conform, exactly. And so it seems like all these arguments for keeping politics out of the classroom, they're really all about creating this positive learning environment, right?
Absolutely. It's about fostering education, fostering critical thinking, making sure every student feels respected and included.
Exactly. And I think that's really what we want for all our students.
Absolutely. But it does leave us with a big question.
Oh, yeah. The big question. Always got to have that.
Right. So how do we actually make sure that our schools, our classrooms stay these spaces for open inquiry?
Right.
Where kids can really develop into these well-rounded individuals who can engage with all these different viewpoints out there in the world.
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. And I think that's a conversation we all need to keep having, right?
Oh, absolutely. Parents, teachers, students, all of us,
The whole community.
the whole community, we all got to be a part of figuring this out.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process.
It is. And, it's a complex issue, but that's why we do these deep dives, right?
Yeah.
To really try to unpack these things.
Absolutely. And I think we've just scratched the surface here.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to explore.
Definitely. But this is a great starting point.
It is. And hopefully this is giving you guys some new things to think about, maybe some new perspectives to consider.
And if it sparks some conversations at your dinner table, hey, even better.
Exactly. That's what we want. So thank you all for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.